All right, buckle up, everybody. We're diving deep into some really cool research today.
Yeah, this one's pretty interesting.
We're talking about using stem cells, specifically umbilical cord-derived mesenchymal stem
Names
cells.
are a mouthful. Yeah.
They are, but hold on to your hats, folks,
Yeah.
because we're going to try to treat type 2 diabetes with these.
Right, and not just treat it, but potentially change how we manage it long term.
Now, I know some of you might be thinking, stem cells, diabetes, isn't that kind of out there?
It might seem that way at first, but the science behind this is really starting to gain traction.
And that's what we're here to break down for you, to make it easy to understand, even if you've never cracked open a biology textbook.
Exactly. We'll cut through the jargon and get to the heart of what this research means.
So one of the key things this study focuses on is something called time and range, or PIR for short.
Ah, yes, TIR. This is becoming a really important metric in diabetes management.
It is, and think of it like this. Imagine your blood sugar levels throughout the day, right? Sometimes they're high, sometimes low. It's like a roller coaster.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
What TIR aims for is to keep that roller coaster as smooth as possible.
Keep those blood sugar levels steady within a healthy range, yeah.
Exactly. And that's where these umbilical cord stem cells come in. Researchers want to see if they can help people with type 2 diabetes achieve better TIR.
That's the big question here. Can we use these cells to actually improve blood sugar control in a lasting way?
Okay, but before we get ahead of ourselves, what exactly are these umbilical cord-derived mesenchymal stem cells anyway?
They sound pretty complicated.
They do, and I'll be honest, the name's a bit intimidating.
It is, but the idea behind them is actually pretty simple. Think of them like tiny blank slates, little cellular Lego bricks, if you will.
Lego bricks. I like where this is going.
They have the potential to become different types of cells in the body, depending on what's needed.
So, like 1 minute they could be a hard cell, the next minute a brain cell.
Not quite that drastic, but you get the idea. They're adaptable, versatile.
And in the case of this study, researchers are hoping they'll turn into cells that can help regulate blood sugar.
Right, essentially repairing some of the damage caused by type 2 diabetes.
Now, that's some seriously cool science.
Yeah.
But let's back up a bit and talk about the study itself. How do they actually test this?
Oh, they use a pretty clever approach called retrospective continuous glucose monitoring.
Retrospective, meaning they looked back in time.
Exactly. So instead of tracking blood sugar in real time, which can sometimes make people change their behavior without even realizing it.
They kind of get self-conscious, like, oh, they're watching my blood sugar. I better behave.
Right, exactly. So with this retrospective approach, they gather all the data over a period of time.
And then analyze it all afterwards, like a detective piecing together clues.
Exactly. That way you get a more natural, unbiased picture of what's really going on with someone's blood sugar.
So it's like a fly-on-the-wall perspective.
Pretty much. It helps to minimize any influence the monitoring itself might have on the results. Sneaky. I like it. So they've got this clever monitoring system, but to make sure the results are super reliable, the study was designed with a few key features. It was randomized, right?
That's right, randomized, double-blinded, and placebo-controlled, the gold standard.
So randomized means participants are assigned to groups purely by chance, like flipping a coin.
Exactly. That helps make sure any differences between groups are actually due to the treatment and not some other hidden factor.
Makes sense. And what about double-blinded? What does that mean?
Double-blinded means that neither the participants and nor the researchers know who's getting the actual stem cell treatment and who's getting the placebo.
Oh, wow. So even the scientists are in the dark.
They are. That helps eliminate any potential bias from the researchers themselves, maybe subconsciously treating the stem cell group differently.
Oh, yeah. I see how that could happen. Everyone's excited about the potential, so you might unintentionally influence things.
Exactly. Double blinding helps keep everyone honest. It's like a big science mystery. No one knows the answer to the very end. Okay, so they've got the randomization, the blinding, what else?
And of course, the placebo control group, super important.
Right, that's the group that gets a dummy treatment, so you can compare them to the actual stem cell group and see if there's a real difference.
Exactly. It helps isolate the effects of the stem cell treatment itself.
So they've covered all their bases to make sure the results are as solid as possible. But let's talk about what actually happened in the study. How many people were involved?
All right, so they had 73 participants in total, all with type 2 diabetes.
Okay, decent-sized group. And some got the stem cells, some got the placebo, right?
Exactly. Those who received the stem cell treatment, they got 3 infusions over a 12-week period.
So spread out over 3 months.
Yep, and then everyone was followed for a total of 48 weeks, almost a full year.
Wow, that's a pretty long follow-up. So they're really looking at the long-term effects here.
They are. Now, during that time, they were measuring a couple of things. First, they looked at HbA1c levels.
Ah, yeah, that's the standard measure of long-term blood sugar control, right?
It is. Think of it like a snapshot of how your blood sugar has been behaving over the past few months.
Got it, like a report card for your blood sugar.
Exactly. And the second thing they were measuring, and this is where it gets really interesting, was that time in range, the TIR.
Right, right. That's that percentage of time your blood sugar stays in that nice, healthy range throughout the day.
Yep, gives you a much more detailed picture of blood sugar management than just HbA1c alone.
So they're looking at the big picture and the day-to-day ups and downs.
Exactly. It's a really comprehensive approach to understanding the impact of the treatment.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. What did they find?
Well, first of all, something really interesting happened. Both groups, the stem cell group and the placebo group, saw improvements in their time in range.
Wait, hold on. Even the people who got the dummy treatment, they got better.
They did. Now, this is where the study design really shines because it tells us something really important about diabetes care.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So remember how we talked about the study being designed to eliminate bias?
Right, the randomization, the blinding, all that good stuff.
Exactly. Well, it seems that just being part of a study, receiving education about diabetes, having regular checkups, all of that can actually have a positive impact on people's health.
So even without the stem cells, the knowledge and support they got made a difference.
Absolutely. And that's a really important takeaway for anyone managing a chronic condition, not just diabetes.
It's like knowledge is part of the medicine.
It really is. It highlights how crucial those aspects of care are, no matter what you're dealing with.
That's a great point. I'm glad they uncovered that. But I'm guessing the stem cell group still saw some pretty impressive results, right?
Yeah.
Oh, spill the beans.
They did. They did. And while both groups improved, like we just talked about, the group who got those stem cell infusions, they actually saw significantly greater improvements in their time in range.
Okay, now we're talking. So how much better did they actually do? Give me the numbers.
All right, so at the 9-week mark, the stem cell group, they had increased their time in range by an average of, get this, 26.54 percentage points.
Whoa, that's a pretty big jump. Like, that's got to make a real difference in their day-to-day life.
Oh, absolutely. It's a remarkable improvement. Now, the placebo group, they also saw improvement, don't get me wrong, an average of 15.84 points.
Still good, but yeah, not quite as dramatic.
Right, exactly. So clearly something's happening with those stem cells.
Okay, so that's after 9 weeks. What about after the full 48 weeks? Did those improvements stick around?
All right, so this is where it gets even more exciting. Even after 48 weeks, the stem cell group was still holding on to an improvement of 21.36 points in their time in range.
Still over 20 points. That's amazing.
It is. It really suggests a lasting effect, which is, what we're hoping for when we're talking about managing a chronic condition like type 2 diabetes.
Right. You want something that's going to make a real difference in the long run.
Yeah.
But, what I found really interesting in this study was they also looked at how men and women responded to the treatment, right?
Right. Yeah, they did.
And it seems like men might actually benefit more from the stem cells than women.
That's right.
What's up with that? Why would that be?
Well, that is a great question. And honestly, it's one that researchers are still trying to puzzle out.
So we don't have a definitive answer yet.
Not yet, but there are some theories floating around. It could be something to do with hormonal differences between men and women.
Hormones. Always with the hormones.
Or it could be variations in how stem cells are distributed throughout the body, or even how they function differently in men and women.
Huh. So there's like a whole other layer of the mystery we're trying to unravel here.
Exactly. But hey, the fact that we're even seeing these kinds of results with stem cell therapy in the first place is pretty amazing.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely mind-blowing. But it gets even more interesting because they also looked at something called C-peptide levels in this study, right?
They did.
Now, for those of you who might not know, C-peptide is basically like a little marker that tells us how well the pancreas is doing its job.
Right. It gives us a window into pancreatic function.
So why is that important, especially when we're talking about type 2 diabetes?
Well, because in type 2 diabetes, the pancreas often can't keep up. It struggles to produce enough insulin.
Insulin being the hormone that helps regulate blood sugar.
Exactly. And what's so exciting about the study is that they found evidence suggesting that those umbilical cord stem cells might actually be helping the pancreas work better.
Wait, hold on. So not only are they improving time in range, but they might actually be improving the pancreas itself.
It seems that way. They might be improving insulin sensitivity, which means how well your body responds to insulin,
Okay.
but also boosting the body's ability to actually produce more insulin on its own.
Whoa, so it's like a double whammy? That's got to be huge for people living with type 2 diabetes.
It could be a real game changer, yeah. We've been talking about how the stem cells improve time in range, which is already a huge benefit. But if they're also helping the pancreas function more effectively, well, that opens up a whole new world of possibilities for managing and potentially even reversing some of the damage caused by type 2 diabetes.
So it's not just about managing the symptoms, it's about getting to the root of the problem.
Exactly. It's about restoring the body's own ability to regulate blood sugar, which is really the ultimate goal.
That's incredibly exciting. But, got to be realistic here for a second. We've talked about all the positive stuff, but what about the limitations of this study? Anything we need to keep in mind before we get too carried away?
You are absolutely right. It's important to be cautious. Remember, this is just one study. We need more research, more data to really confirm these findings and explore those long-term effects.
Right, one study doesn't necessarily mean we've found the cure.
Exactly. And it's also crucial to remember that everyone responds to treatments differently. What works wonders for one person might not have the same effect on another.
So we can't assume everyone's going to have these amazing results just yet.
Right. We need to figure out why some people respond better than others. Are there certain genetic factors at play? Lifestyle factors? We need to dig deeper.
Okay, so while this research is incredibly promising, we can't jump to conclusions just yet.
Not quite, but it definitely gives us a lot to be hopeful about.
Absolutely. So what are the next steps then? What kind of research would you like to see happen next to really build on these findings?
Well, for me, one of the biggest questions is why some people respond better to this treatment than others. We need to understand those individual differences.
Like what makes someone a good candidate for this kind of therapy?
Exactly. We also need to look at the long-term safety and effectiveness. What are the potential risks, the side effects? How long do those benefits actually last? These are all crucial questions.
Makes sense. We need all those answers before we can even think about making this a standard part of diabetes care.
Right. But answering those questions, well, that could really pave the way for this treatment to become more widely available.
It's like this study has cracked open the door,
Sure.
and now we need to explore what's on the other side.
That's a great way to put it. And I think it's important to remember, while we're waiting for these cutting edge treatments to become available, there are things we can all do right now to manage our health.
Right, we're not powerless here.
Exactly. Making healthy choices, staying informed about new research, being proactive about our well-being, all of that can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. So for everyone listening, what are your thoughts on all this? Would you be open to trying a stem cell treatment if it became available?
Yeah. What factors would you consider in making that decision?
It's a complex issue, lots to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about. But what gets me, even beyond diabetes, is like, what else could these stem cells do?
Oh, for sure. That's one of the most exciting things about this whole area of research, right?
Right, if they can have this kind of impact on the pancreas, like what other possibilities are out there?
I mean, we're just scratching the surface with mesenchymal stem cells. There's so much we don't know. But researchers are looking at them for everything. Heart disease,
Oh, wow.
autoimmune disorders, even
Right.
like neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's.
It's like these tiny little cells hold the key to like unlocking treatments for so many different things.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. And the fact that they come from umbilical cords, which are, usually just discarded after birth,
Yeah.
it's like we're taking something that was considered medical waste and turning it into this potential source of healing.
Yeah, it's like alchemy or something, turning something ordinary into something extraordinary.
It really is.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty hopeful about the future of medicine after learning about all this.
Me too. Me too. And yeah, research on mesenchymal stem cells, it's still early days, but this study, it really gives us a glimpse of what might be possible.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember, even while we're waiting for these, cutting edge treatments to become more widely available,
Hmm.
there are things we can all do right now to take care of our health.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Making healthy choices, staying informed about new developments in research,
Right.
and really advocating for our own well-being, it's all important.
You got it. Knowledge is power, and the more we understand about our bodies, the better equipped we'll be to make good decisions for our health.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah, we have.
But if there's one thing I want everyone listening to take away from this is that this research on umbilical cord-derived mesenchymal stem cells for type 2 diabetes,
Yeah,
it's incredibly promising, it's early,
it is.
but the science is exciting.
Right.
And it really opens up this whole world of possibilities for the future of medicine.
Absolutely. And even as we wait for these new treatments to become, more readily available, there's so much we can do today to manage our health and potentially prevent things like type 2 diabetes in the first place.
So true. So true. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay proactive about your health, everyone.
Couldn't agree more. And as always, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.